I don't believe that an inventor should marry, because he is so intense in nature and so much of it in wild, passionate qualities that in giving himself to a woman he might love, he would give everything, and so take everything from his chosen field. I don't think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men. For an artist, yes. For a musician, yes. For a writer, yes. But for an inventor, no. The first three must gain inspiration from a woman's influence and be led by their love to find her achievements. But an inventor has so intense a nature with so much of it in wild, passionate quality that in giving himself to a woman he might love, he would give everything, and so take everything from his chosen field. It's a pity, too, for sometimes we feel so lonely.
Nikola Tesla's choice to remain celibate is a mysterious subject. Contrary to mainstream understanding, Tesla's celibacy wasn't just a weird habit, but a planned decision, often tied to esoteric traditions that equate sexual abstinence with heightened intellectual and psychic powers. Tesla himself was deeply influenced by the ancient Eastern philosophy of Brahmacharya, which was introduced to him by Swami Vivekananda. This practice promises a life of extended focus, intellectual clarity, and sharpened memory. While we marvel at Tesla's inventions, what's less spoken about is the energy reservoir he accessed to fuel these creations. Traditional mystics would identify this as the manipulation of the life force energy, or Kundalini, which, when mastered, grants the practitioner almost superhuman capacities. In Tesla's unpublished writings, he often referred to tapping into cosmic forces, a saying that reminds us of old-time chemists who aimed to turn simple materials into gold. Tesla's celibacy was not just sexual abstinence, but an alchemical process of transmuting sexual energy into creative power. Though such ideas are often dismissed by mainstream science, they find recurrent mentions in Hermetic and Rosicrucian circles. Tesla's case invites us to reconsider what we think we know, compelling us to look beyond the visible spectrum of his genius. Freemasonry and certain secret societies have traditions that delve into esoteric and occult knowledge. Among these arcane teachings, some claim, is the practice of semen retention, often viewed as a way to conserve life force energy. In various mystical traditions, this energy is said to contribute to heightened intellectual and spiritual capacities. The concept aligns well with the Masonic and esoteric goal of self-improvement and enlightenment. Some people think Freemasonry is just old guys hanging out. This is wrong. It's true that some groups have forgotten their old wise ways and are now just for socializing, but some groups still know a lot of deep stuff. For example, in one group called Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia, there were really smart doctors and scientists. They wrote books that tell you to read about many different things, from how living things work to hidden sciences like astrology. They also talk about mind science and what to eat. These people were not silly or crazy. They were very smart and knew more than most people. You don't have to join these groups to learn. Most of what you want to know can be found in books they have already published. Some might ask, why is semen retention so important? Both physical and hidden effects of this action are discussed in different old books about hidden knowledge. First, one can find explanations in the books of an Old English Rosicrucian group. These books are available online. Second, writings by Max Heindel, who started a Rosicrucian group in America, offer more insight. Samael Aun Weor, who was once a student of Rosicrucianism and later started his own belief system, strongly advises against masturbation. He is the third source. A fourth source is Mantak Chia, a master from the East who wrote a book about using sexual energy wisely. There are more tips in the works of people like Rudolf Steiner, Franz Baden, and Gurdjieff. All these men wrote about how the mind works, how to avoid bad habits, and how to grow spiritually. The aim is for everyone, whether part of a hidden group or not, to know themselves better and to use their special skills to help others. The goal is to get step closer to what you might call God and speed up your own personal growth. But not everyone is good. Some people and groups with bad intentions have joined these groups and made them do bad things. There are forces out there that want people to be lazy, scared, and not in control of themselves. The point is, you actually have the power to make yourself better, but they don't want you to know that. Now, about the less known side of self-stimulation. When a person is close to climax, their body takes a lot of good stuff like proteins and minerals from their body, including their brain. All of this goes into the semen, meant for creating new life. If a person does this too often, they drain these good things from their own bodies. This can make their mind less sharp and their body weaker over time. It can even lead to health issues, bad eyesight, and make them easily upset. In hidden teachings, it's believed that semen is not just full of nutrients, but also holds what's called creative life force. This force gives people energy, focus, and vitality. When saved and not wasted, this energy can help people reach their goals and dreams. It acts like a fuel for willpower, making someone more driven and creative. This energy sits at the base of the spine and can move upwards, giving a person a sense of enlightenment. It has the potential to make a person healthier, mentally and physically. If someone frequently releases this energy through masturbation, they might feel a temporary sense of relaxation, but it's followed by feelings of irritability, instability, and laziness. Over time, this could lead to health problems. This energy can be seen as moving either upwards or downwards. The more it rises, the closer a person gets to their best self and even to a higher spiritual state. Additionally, in these teachings, it's said that everyone has a desire body, an invisible cloud of energy formed by their desires and emotions. When this life force is low, it attracts negative energies that can have a harmful influence. The idea is to use this creative life force wisely so as to live better, healthier lives. Leonardo da Vinci, the polymath, who gave the world masterpieces like the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, also led an abstinent life. Speculations suggest that he used this redirection of sexual energy to fuel his boundless creativity. Like Tesla, Da Vinci was also a prolific inventor whose journals are filled with sketches of flying machines, submarines, and other incredible devices centuries before they became a reality. Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, praised the virtues of controlling sexual desires in his dialogues. While not explicitly talking about semen retention, Plato did argue for mastering and redirecting one's energies towards intellectual and spiritual pursuits. Given the significance he placed on the higher forms of love and intellect, it's not a far leap to think he would approve of such practices. Sir Isaac Newton, the groundbreaking scientist responsible for the laws of motion and gravitation, was reportedly celibate throughout his life. Newton was so consumed by his scientific and alchemical work that he purportedly had little time or inclination for sexual relationships. Many speculate that his celibacy was closely related to his enormous output and intellectual insights. Muhammad Ali, the legendary boxer, was known for abstaining from sex before important fights. He believed that retaining his semen would make him stronger and more focused in the ring. Though not a lifetime practitioner, his temporary periods of retention were strategic, suggesting that he understood the power of his practice to enhance physical and mental performance. Rosicrucianism, however, delves into the deeper metaphysical aspects of semen retention. Rooted in a blend of mystical Christian and Hermetic traditions, the Rosicrucians view the practice as more than just a way to channel physical energy. For them, it's a form of spiritual alchemy. According to Rosicrucian teachings, semen isn't just a bodily fluid, it's a special kind of energy. They call it the elixir of life and say it's a mix of our body and something more, like a spirit or life force. Now, let's talk about something they call the Philosopher's Stone. It's a magic stone in old stories that turns cheap metals into gold. The Rosicrucians say semen is a lot like this stone. It's not just part of your body, but also holds your spiritual power. By holding it in, you're doing a sort of body magic to make your spirit stronger. This is like an Eastern idea called Kundalini, where energy rises from the bottom of your spine to make you feel aware in a new way. When awakened, this energy rises up the spine, going through energy centers called chakras. As it moves, you may feel more awake and aware in ways you haven't before. People who experience this say they feel clearer, more connected, and more creative. It's like lifting a fog from your mind, helping you see and feel things in a whole new way. Science already tells us semen has stuff like zinc and amino acids, but this group goes further. They say it has also something they called astral imprints, which is like an energy fingerprint. Losing this energy is bad for both your body and spirit. The Rosicrucians often talk about a sacred river when discussing this topic. Imagine a hidden stream under the ground. This stream can either water plants and make them grow, or get lost and do nothing. Semen is like this stream. You can use it to make your life better or waste it. They also talk about something interesting called the moon cycle. They say a man is strongest when the moon is full. So if you keep your semen during this time, your spirit gets even more powerful. The moon cycle is a concept that Rosicrucians believe holds a deeper significance when it comes to semen retention. According to them, the moon's phases are not just celestial events, but a powerful influence on human energy and spirit. They describe the moon as the silent witness of the earth, a guardian that has an unseen but strongly felt impact on our lives. In this cycle, the moon goes through various phases: new moon, first quarter, full moon, and last quarter. Each phase has its unique energy, they say, but it's the full moon that really stands out. Rosicrucians argue that during a full moon, men have an enhanced magnetic pull. This isn't just a random phrase, they mean it literally. Your body, filled with this life force or elixir of life, becomes more attuned to the energies of the universe during a full moon. Now, why is this important? They believe that during a full moon, retaining your semen amplifies its potency. It's like capturing lightning in a bottle. Your elixir of life is supercharged, filling you not only with physical vitality but also spiritual clarity. You become, as they say, a lunar conduit, a channel through which cosmic energies flow more freely. Your intuition may get sharper, your emotions more balanced, and your spirit lifted. They even go as far to say that during a full moon, you can practice specific meditations or rituals to make the most of this cosmic window. The moonlight, they claim, is a form of purer energy that imbues the earth. By aligning your own retained life force with this lunar energy, you can achieve a higher state of consciousness. You're not just storing energy, you're aligning it with celestial bodies. They often liken this to an ancient form of alchemy. In the past, alchemists tried to change ordinary metals into gold, but in this practice, you're converting raw biological force into spiritual gold. You're turning something ordinary into something extraordinary, and the full moon is your alchemical furnace. Rosicrucianism and astrology share a deep symbiotic relationship that goes beyond what many might consider mere fortune telling. For the Rosicrucians, astrology isn't about predicting the future. It's a sophisticated language of symbols that help to unlock hidden dimensions of the self and the cosmos. The idea is that human beings and celestial bodies are interconnected, and understanding one can illuminate the other. In Rosicrucian thought, astrology is considered a form of celestial physics. Each planet, star, and astrological sign corresponds to specific archetypal energies. For example, Mars is associated with willpower and aggression, while Venus is linked to love and harmony. The positions of these planets at your birth, represented in your natal chart, can indicate your innate tendencies and challenges. If you want to find out more about yourself, please check out the description below for a free astrology reading. Unlike fatalistic interpretations of astrology, Rosicrucians believe these are not hard destinies, but inclinations that can be cultivated or tempered through spiritual work. The 7 seven rays are a crucial aspect of Rosicrucian astrology. These are cosmic streams of energy that influence human character and destiny. Each ray corresponds to one of the seven visible planets and, by extension, to the seven alchemical metals like gold, silver, and iron. The idea here is that our souls are imbued with the qualities of these rays, shaping our life purpose and spiritual path. Another key idea is the concept of as above, so below, a phrase often attributed to the Emerald Tablet, an ancient Hermetic text. In practical terms, this means that shifts in celestial bodies are mirrored in human events and internal states. This principle guides Rosicrucian astrological practice, where a person's natal chart is considered a celestial snapshot of the universe at the time of their birth. By understanding this snapshot, one can gain insights into their life's purpose, karmic cycles, and spiritual inclinations.
A recent post on the Facebook page Ghosts of London has been spooking viewers out. The eerie black and white photo submitted by a follower shows a homeowner asleep on a couch. However, there appears to be a ghostly figure hovering just above them. The camera was set up by the homeowner to monitor their sleep, as they were concerned about potential sleepwalking due to finding items disturbed upon waking. The unsettling image features a grey, transparent shape floating just above the sleeping individual, leaving many to question the nature of this apparition. One commenter, Jeannie M, suggested it could be a succubus. The succubus is a mythical creature from medieval European folklore, often described as a female demon that seduces men in their sleep to feed on their energy. Throughout history, stories of these creatures have been used to explain sleep paralysis and vivid nightmares. The origin of this mysterious figure remains uncertain. Could it be a ghost, a succubus, or is there a more rational explanation? As discussions and debates continue, the truth behind this chilling image remains shrouded in mystery, igniting curiosity and fear in the minds of many.
Production is destruction. Negation is creation. When you hold the seed, you get your power. The male power resides in what you don't do, not doing, refraining from. Then you build the power, and it gives you the perspective of what you should do. What not to do is the only guidance that you have in life. Temptation, the light, the false light. That's the Lucifer. Holding the seed. All right, first of all, like I was saying, dudes or males should never chase. So if you are holding the seed, you're gonna attract women that are on a different vibration. I mean, you're gonna attract all different levels, because as you hold the seed, you see they just come. It's like they smell it. It's like pheromones. You know, women just start coming out the woodwork. Like, especially the more as you go moon cycle to moon cycle, from one moon cycle to the next, like the seed is just basically getting stronger and stronger as you don't release it. It's like the seed just building more and more armor, and then your body doesn't have to produce the testosterone that it would if you're constantly releasing seed. If you're releasing seed, then you got to constantly produce testosterone, and so much, because you know it takes so much to produce drops of sperm. So you're getting to a state where you're going to be so exhausted that you have to eat and you have to do all these other things because your energy is it's being compromised by. It's just like if you grow your hair out. When you grow your hair out, your body no longer needs to allocate energy to growing the hair. Once you're growing your hair, you're controlling the seed, your body doesn't have to use energy for those things and can use energy for higher levels of manifestation, which would be less. Like a dense manifestation would be like a kid fragmenting into a kid. Less is more. So you're going up to a more refined level of manifestation if you hold the seed, and you just start to attract totally different vibrations of women, a whole another wavelength. But that's because your values are changing. So it's just law of attraction taking its place, because now you don't want to spill the seed, so now you get so much temptation. And temptation is the light or the lie that tells us what not to do, which is the perfect guidance for life. What not to do in this bizarro world. That's all we get, which is everything. So as you hold the seed and the seed gets stronger and stronger, your mind, your body is the same. It's just the same thing, because your seed is your future and your past. So you're getting stronger and stronger. The mental and physical, meta and physical, no separating. That's all getting stronger and stronger. And the house itself, it's just stronger. And then if you do, decide to have kids from that state of being, like, you have good seeds, you're gonna have good kids. You have a good house, you're gonna have good company. That's just how that goes. So anyway, I'm just saying, as far as holding the seed, it's so in the nature of the unnatural to release the seed like that. And just a lot of it got to do with the pressure from people eating crap, and there's just so much pressure in the blood pooling in the abdomen that the heat is down there. It's just so much heat right there, and they need those things so that the oxygen can flow better, to where the heat doesn't just get crazy like that, to where they pop, or they have nocturnal emissions, what people call wet dreams, whatever. That's just the breathing isn't correct, because it's heat. If you have that heat down there, you need the air to balance it. And then you can cycle the air down, heat up, air down, heat up, and you can have that constant flow, whatever people want to call that, kundalini, or whatever they want to give it a title to separate and to feel cool. But at the end of the day, it's just controlling that universal breath, allowing the seed to totally regenerate so that you can totally regenerate, because you are your seed, you are your ancestors, you are the past, present, and future. And if you throw the seed into the wind, you're just throwing your future and your past into the wind. So you lose yourself because you're losing your past, and you're losing your future. So you just become more and more anxious and depressed about the past as you just throw away the seed like that. And then females are just so addicted to it, man. You're just making people addicted to the energy. It's just like giving anybody any drug. You're making somebody so used to being at a state of energy that when you remove it, they're going to drop, and they're going to go through withdrawal, and it's going to create an enemy situation, because it's just an energy addiction. It's people not using their own energy, leaning on other people's energy. And as you use other people's energy, you take on experiences and things that you wouldn't, because you're using energy that's not yours. And not to say that there's a separation. I'm just saying that, like, as far as your path, which is giving respect and perspective to all other paths, you're interfering with that. You're interfering with that natural process. And as that happens, you die, you split, and the will is going from inside of you to outside of you and around you, because you're giving outwardly like that. You're pushing all your internal children, your voices, you're pushing it all outward. The seed is the seed of creation. The soul comes from the ether through the male principle into the female principle into the 3D density. So, and then you're on your way back out too. It's just reverse. Back through the female principle, whether they want to say through the planets, through moon, through Jupiter, however, to get back out, you're going through the male to go back in, to inseminate, out through the female, into the physical world, and then out of the physical world through the female. She's the doorway in and out of the physical. She's more physical. The male's more ethereal. So that's the balance of that. That's the illusion too, of yin and yang.
I've spent about the last 2 decades of my life watching pornography.
So let me ask, when you began to partake in this material on a regular basis, what psychological effect did it have on you?
Well, I was diagnosed with depression, and I wanted to kill myself. I went to the bridge, yet I did not jump, because it is high as a motherfucker. And basically, pornography is not just something that can spiritually be laid away. Pornography leads to demonic possession. It prevents ascension. I know these are all spiritual terms, but if you really get into it, if you're not spiritual, it causes depression. Dare I even say manic depression? Because aren't the two very similar? Mania and demonic possession might as well be the exact goddamn same thing. Yet people do not acknowledge this. They're afraid to acknowledge it, but Dr. Joseph Shipalone, he talks about it. If you talk to anybody, like my ex-shaman, Marshall Manyfeathers, who abandoned me because we used to watch too much porn, she said that the reptilians or something will like take a hold of you, or a porn demon will take a hold of you, basically a very evil entity, and when you try to leave the matrix, you will not be able to. It will tie you down, and it will keep you where you are. Everywhere you turn, whenever there's something mentioned about pornography, it is always negative. There's never a single positive message. So everything that everybody says about porn being a good thing is actually not so great. Another thing, there are these things called jinn. Now, if you study the Quran, I believe, which is Muslim in a book, it's Islam in a book. And they have an entire chapter devoted to jinn. Now, where do you see that in Christianity? There's no chapter devoted to demons, but there are other books. I can credit you that. But for some reason, the jinn are left out of the Bible. The demons are not in the Bible, but they are in the Quran. And what you have to realize is that these jinn they can travel through wires and electronic equipment. They're also known as the archons. So the archons, they fly around you, and whenever you are doing something negative for yourself, a porn is negative, they will absorb your energy, and this is how they live. There's a lot of porn sites out there that were created by the jinn. You cannot trust electronics. There's a reason why electronics has been flourishing, why it's there, why it has grown. It's all because the enemy wants us to be watching porn and to take our loosh. That is the bottom line. And as human beings, we have infinite loosh. We are very powerful. We power the system. They don't want us to know that, because if they knew that, we wouldn't have any technology, or at least we wouldn't have the evil technology that basically destroys our lives and makes us depressed. And I see this new generation, they are fucked. There's no hope for the next generation. Maybe they think that they can do something about their lives, but I think they are sorely mistaken. That's what I have to say about technology and what it does to you.
Wow. So just to clarify, the presence of pornography did not have any impact, negative or positive, where it concerns feelings of depression or suicidal thoughts. Am I correct in that assessment? No effect?
It has every effect. Porn will cause depression and suicidal thoughts. It gives you such a high that it becomes depressing to even live a normal life. I guess people are searching for it in their brain. They're searching for that dopamine, and it's just not there, because the victim, dare I say the victim is looking at pornography, and they get used to it, and then they go back to their normal life, and it's not there. The dopamine's not there, so they get depressed. They think they should go kill themselves for some unknown reason, but that reason, it's simply because of chemicals. It causes depression. I know my friends do not watch as much pornography as I have for 2 decades, yet they are fine, and I am not. And I do wonder sometimes, how did this happen? Why me? Why am I bipolar? Why I have schizoaffective and psychosis? I don't know why. Am I a targeted individual?
Wow. This is very in-depth.
Well, what they say is when you use porn, you create succubi. And the succubi are basically invisible demons, or female demons, and they suck your energy. And there's maggots. And of course, there's the bioelectric archons that are flying around everywhere, stealing your loosh energy. And of course, you're not going to be able to feel confident when you're not at your full energy, and you're not even on the map of human consciousness. Maybe you're at like shame at the most, or you're at desire at the most, which is a very low frequency. And yeah, I mean, if you're negative and you're depressed, of course you're gonna have low confidence. If you're not happy about anything, that's the one thing about porn is, like, if it's making you depressed, then what you have to do is become happy. But at the same time, in order to become happy, you start overeating, you play too many video games. But what can you do anyway? So I just stopped the porn because it does so much more damage than people are willing to accept, or their ignorance is just, well, they're just very ignorant. I'll just say that.
Wow, that is a lot to take in.
Yes.
Now, even though I'm unfamiliar with porn, I have heard that overall it is very few of them. Would you be willing to say that
as I said earlier, when you watch porn, when the porn person watches the porn, it does not do you any good, and it is definitely something that everything I said tonight about pornography, and if it could help at least depression or anxiety or not taking so many medications or whatever, not being possessed, I think it's worth a try to give up pornography. And it's funny, we didn't even talk about the Coolidge effect, which was strange. But the Coolidge effect, it was this experiment with these rats, and you can check it out yourself. But basically, if it's doing the same rat, it takes longer to reach climax. But if it does a different rat every time, then it takes the same amount of time to reach climax. So obviously, that is equatable to a human being watching different porn, and they can switch to whatever porn they want instead of watching the same porn. It is actually said on your brain on the porn, your brainonporn.com. It said that if there was no such thing as a Coolidge effect, internet porn would not exist, and we'd all be monogamous, and none of this cheating and all this relationships there would be no drama. Everything would be perfect. But because we are somewhat ancient, because there's a possibility that we evolved, the Coolidge effect has made it so that man is not a monogamous species, and this is a problem. We are born porn addicts unless you have a certain personality that makes you immune to it. But most of us are born with this problem. So there is no reason to feel ashamed or anything. It is just something that we must all notice as a society, and we need to all be constantly bettering ourselves. So
I think you just described, so basically the law of diminishing returns. So if you're having the same donut, the first bite will taste great, but each consecutive bite is going to be less satisfying.
That sounds exactly like what I'm talking about, yes.
I see.
So you have to switch to a different type of donut.
Right.
What you say, okay. Yes.
And that is the inclination, or that it describes or explains the inclination for humans to always seek different partners, despite society's, despite the convention of society for a single partner.
Yes, exactly. Most people don't know this, but there's a way to have one partner that you're interested in, and yet there's a way to make the relationship constantly more interesting.
I think a topic like that, which has lots of nuance, I think that probably merits its own podcast.
Yes, very interesting.
So as we wrap up today, I think the final question that I have is, how do you break the cycle? How do you wean yourself, or at least decrease your consumption of the pornography?
Well, to be honest, I really don't know how. All I know is the things that make it bad. And your guess is as good as mine throughout this conversation we've had. First, I would suggest, though, you delete all your porn. And, I've tried getting blockers, but it just hasn't worked. And I mean, think of it this way, though. Would you really want to get depression? Because depression meds, if you go off them cold turkey, it will ruin your life forever, your central nervous system. It's not something you want to get into. You really don't want to go down the world of getting medications and stuff, because it's a bad road. And, okay, so everybody can tell you that there's demonic possession, but no one will care. People can tell you there's jinn, people can tell you there's archons, and no one will care. All I can say is that you need to find something to replace the dopamine. I was told by my shaman that video games is not nearly as bad as porn. It's bad for your soul. And what is a soul? A soul is basically your body right now. It has nothing to do with your spirit, but when you stop using porn so much, I realized I became a little bit more psychic. I became a little bit more psychic. And I guess that doesn't matter to me. That didn't matter to me either. But really, it's the porn and the depression and the porn and the manic depression. But people are just too depressed. They're too demonically possessed. Maybe they don't have any options to stop being demonically possessed, or maybe the jinn caused a curse on people. Well, all these things are out of our control. But if I could stop being depressed, because I've been very, very depressed as of late, and I've used porn very recently, and that's why. It's a chemical reason. It's not all this magical hoo-ha I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual studies that make real sense, and they are that if you overload your brain with dopamine, and then you stop that activity, and it's not there anymore. For one, do not want to go back to porn. It's very, it's probably going to be a lifelong battle, but I don't want to have these diagnoses, bipolar, depression, on these medications for no reason. At least I want to say that I'm not, you know what I mean? I just don't like medications that much. That's all I'm saying.
Wow. Well, I think that is going to close us out for tonight, but I want to thank our guest for these words of wisdom, and we wish him lots of luck in this journey, this epic journey, this quest to wean himself from pornography. Mm-hmm. And for anyone who finds this valuable, we also wish you luck in that journey. So I'm going to be signing off for tonight. Good night and good luck.
Thank you.
The use of pornography. Our civilization needs to understand this topic in a much deeper way because it is influencing the nature of our world. The use of pornography and the foundation of darkness that it's bringing.
25% of all web searches in porn. The average age of first seeing porn is 11 years old. Children under 10 make up 22% of online consumption. Wow.
Yeah.
That is disturbing. What are we thinking?
You know, the thing with children is that they are still developing. Their neurological development is still happening. And with the use of pornography, they are literally programming their neurology to get off through dissociative sex, meaning the soul is not in the body when you're dealing with pornography because it's a satanic force used to bring demonic energy onto the earth. So as soon as you start looking at pornography, you are inviting demonic energies into your life, and the soul won't have that. When you're programming children to have dissociative sex, that's not connected to their heart, that's not connected to any other person, that they're basically masturbating to images on a screen that are bringing in succubi and incubi, naturally, this is going to have a detrimental effect on their lives. And part of that programming means there's no love in this. Love is absent in their development.
Opening yourself up to these entities by doing that?
Demons programmed into the pornography so that when people watch the pornography, they will be unleashing demons in their life. Most people are not consciously aware that that's what they're doing every time they tune into pornography. From a pornographic film, that demon is coming into the sex that you're having with whoever you have sex, and that will influence any child that is created. We're not exactly a civilization of conscious conception or a conscious approach to create life. Most of life is created as a side effect of fleshy activity, fleshy gratification, and many children are not wanted, and many children are automatically negatively influenced by demonic forces because of the parental use of pornography. Unconscious conception immediately breaks their link with the divine mind. So the way that we're approaching the creation of life really needs a massive upgrade all around, which is part of the work that I do with my parent program, to bring people out of that, young people ideally, before they've found their beloved, and bring them out of the programming that says have sex, use a condom, have as much sex as you want as long as it's safe. This is the programming teaching 4 and 5-year-olds about orgasm and masturbation and transgenderism, and the programming to have sex in very vulgar ways is extreme at this point. Programming of children. It's starting with their parents, how their parents are approaching, I say sex, but sex is such a disgusting word to me because it is normally has nothing to do with creating. Immediately, as soon as we do that, we are taking that life-creating energy and bringing it into the satanic realm. Spiritually, we are in trouble. We are in big trouble with this energy. Pornography is destroying people's lives. You're not consciously aware that this is demonic, that this is satanic, that this is going to grab them. This can harness the rest of their life if we let it. They don't understand that these things are weapons. All pornography is a weapon. All wireless devices are weapons. These are weapons to trap us, to addict us, to bring us into the Luciferian realm and lock us there. We have to push it away forcefully. Make a determination, no, I am not going there. I am not going with you. I am not going to let you destroy me. Porn is a huge problem. We should be staying away from the medical establishment. There's many things that we need to turn our backs on if we are choosing the other path for good. We cannot bring these things with us. They are not vibrationally compatible.
Religion is all about sex, period.
That's why Steeple's really just a big phallus.
Yeah, I will give you some hints about how sex is the bottom line in all religion. Christianity is based solely on sex. Let me just give you one of the 1,000 examples I could give you. The 10 Commandments. Charlton Heston played in the movie The 10 Commandments. You see Moses coming down from the mountain with the 10 Commandments. Well, what you don't know is that the Bible reference works. If you go to encyclopedias of the Bible in UCLA or USC, or county USC universities, or to the big seminaries, the big university seminaries for Christianity, well, you need to understand why are they call it a seminary. You're going to be a preacher, you're going to be a minister, you got to go to a seminary. Study all about the word, and then they will show you how the word Cohen is a Jewish word for a priest. The name for a priest in Judaism was called Cohen. A lot of Jews have the last name of Cohen. Cohen is a priest in Judaism. But do you know what Cohen means in Hebrew?
What?
It means the protector of the human semen.
Stop.
He protects the human semen. So therefore, he's in charge of you having babies. If you're a Jew, you talk to the rabbi because he is the rabbinical authority over your body and how you reproduce. So the Christians have a seminary, but the Jews have a holy priesthood called Cohen. And the word Cohen, translated from the original word that gives us the word Cohen, means protectors of the semen. This is why God is called the Father, our Father. Why? Because the Father is the male. He impregnates Mother Nature, Mother Earth. Mother Earth is Mother Nature. So therefore, in the spring, that's the time for the spring weddings. The reason why you have those spring weddings is because that's when God the Father is going to impregnate Mother Earth with the sacred fluid. And so the ancient people said God the Father, the ancient Hindu name for God was Rain, R-A-I-N. Look it up in a dictionary. The Rain, R-A-I-N, was the name of God the Father in Hindu religion. And so when you have a spring wedding, God the Father is going to impregnate Mother Earth, Mother Nature, with this sacred fluid called rain. And the rain comes from the Father in heaven. Obviously, it must come from the Father. And so therefore, it's going to impregnate the earth. And all the flowers are going to grow. All the plants are going to grow. The food's going to grow. And now we will have food to eat, beautiful flowers. And all the animals will come out. They will reproduce. And the humans and all the boys will be chasing the girls in the spring. Because it's just natural. It's just plain old, down-home natural. Yeah. Guys are looking for the women, and the women are playing with the guys. And so why? Because it's just male and female, and it's a springtime for weddings. And that's why Jesus, in the Bible, that Jesus and his mother went to the marriage feast of Cana, to a big marriage, and his mother went with him. And his mother's name was Mary. Mary is the mother of Jesus. Her name was Mari, M-A-R-I, not M-A-R-Y. Mary is M-A-R-Y. In the Bible, Jesus' mother was M-A-R-I. Mari. Mari is a Latin word meaning a virgin. Well, that's what Jesus is born of a virgin. Yeah, he's born of Mari, not Mary. Hell, everybody knows Mary is anything but a virgin. All the guys in town know who Mary is. But nobody knows Mari, M-A-R-I. That's why she's a virgin. Yeah, and so look it up in the dictionary, look it up in the Bible encyclopedias. Jesus' mother was spelled M-A-R-I, Mari. You get one of those big, strong Bible concordance. It's not that expensive. It's only about $19.95. It's from Amazon. It's a big, huge volume with every word ever used in the Bible, period, and what it meant, where it came from, and what it actually meant. It's all there if you just take 20 years out of your life and sit and study. Yeah, if you just do that, take 20 to, or if you want to be like me, take 60 years of your life and study day in and day out all the words, the terms, the ideas, concepts of religion and theology. My God, what a world that is of ancient theology. So anyway, when you talk about God the Father impregnating Mother Earth, that's why today, in any marriage, the male in a marriage is going to manufacture. So he's going to work with his partner, and he's going to manufacture while his partner is going to be in labor. His partner is going to be in labor building the package that he has manufactured. Because the man is going to impregnate the female. She's going to create the project. She's going to create the product. So she is in labor building the product that he has manufactured. Let me go back to Moses and the Ten Commandments, because I got off on that. So we're told that Moses goes up into the mountain and sees and talks to God, and God gives him something called the Ten Commandments. That whole story is so incredibly impregnated with stuff you have never heard before and have no idea in the world what's being said. It will absolutely knock you over when you find out the real story that's hid by the church about Moses. Incredible. So Moses goes up and he goes up the side of the mountain. The children of Israel are down below on the land. They're down below and they're dancing around a golden calf. Golden calf is one of the signs of the zodiac. One of the signs of the zodiac is Taurus, the bull. So for 2,150 years, the sun rises each morning in the sign of Taurus, the bull. Well, the sun is golden and the bull is a calf. So the golden calf is the sun in the constellation of Taurus, the bull. And so therefore, when Moses goes up into the mountain, he comes down and God has given him a whole new religion. It's a brand new religion that Moses comes down from the mountain and he sees the Hebrew people still worshiping the old religion. They just don't get it. They're worshiping the old religion of the golden calf, the constellation of Taurus, and the constellation of Taurus, the bull, which of course this is why when the Pope issues an order, it's called a papal bull. Why? Because of Taurus, the bull of the constellation of the zodiac. My God, there's so much to tell you.
One of the chatters is they're asking you to elaborate more on the Moses story.
Yeah, Moses. Okay. So Moses never lived. There was no such a man named Moses. He never lived. There was a Pharaoh, a line of pharaohs, which were called Thutmoses. Thutmoses the first, Thutmoses the second. Thut is our word thought, meaning the pharaohs were the basing your religion on Moses, then you got zero, nothing. You got sand. You don't have a religion. You got an incredible, misunderstood lie-inception. And this is why Abraham, all the Jews talk about Abraham, all three major religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, they claim Abraham. There, in point of fact, historically, never existed a man named Abraham. It's just a story. The Bible is called the greatest story ever told. I used to get my butt kicked by my mother when she would find me telling stories. She would say, "You out telling stories again?" And I was out telling stories. So telling stories used to mean you're out lying through your teeth. You're out there telling a bunch of stories.
Yes.
And so a storyteller was always understood to be somebody who's out there lying and trying to sell you something. And so you were a storyteller. Well, this is why the Bible is called the greatest story ever told. It's not the greatest collection of historical facts ever published. It's the greatest story ever told. It's just a story. And you don't know that. There's nothing true in it. There was no Moses. There was no Jesus. Jesus never existed. There was no Moses. He never existed. There was no King Solomon. Solomon never lived. There was no king. In actual history, none of these people actually lived.
But then, Jordan, we have a huge problem. All of our Palestinian brothers and sisters who's been dispossessed and disinherited from their land and died trying to resist the state of Israel, you're basically saying they got the land because why? They're the chosen people of God because of Moses and Abraham, right? But if that's not true, then they're really not the chosen people of God. So what are we doing with them taking these people's land and setting up shop?
Well, hell, they were going to get screwed anyway, so it's about time somebody does it. The idea in America is that poor, ignorant, dim-witted people, and uneducated, goofy, beer-drinking, stupid, ignorant people drinking beer and watching TV all day are going to get screwed. They're going to get ripped off. And since they're going to get ripped off, hell, what are we waiting for? We might as well rip them off ourselves. So therefore, we call it Israel. When the Hyksos people, the word was Hyksos. There was an ancient people many thousands of years ago in the Middle East. They were called Hyksos. And the Hyksos people illegally crossed over into Egypt. They were not Egyptians. They were Hyksos. They were a robber band. They were a band of robbers. They were like a gang of bikers. So they were called Hyksos. Why? Because that's what they did for a living. They roamed around and they pulled into town. They rape and drink and destroy and take anything they want. And then when there's nothing left, then they move on to the next town. I mean, they're so stupid they're going to get raped anyway, so it might as well be us. Somebody's going to do it somewhere, so it might as well be us. And so when Moses comes down with the 10 Commandments, this is one hell of a story. When Moses comes down from the mountain with the 10 Commandments, we remember what the 10 Commandments look like. It's a big, huge stones. And all the stones are written the 10 Commandments. Well, if you go to the Encyclopedia of Christianity, the different dictionaries and encyclopedia references in the seminaries where the priests go, and read the reference work, read the seminary, and look up the word 10 Commandments. They will tell you the 10 Commandments were not 10 big stones. No. The reference works tell you that the 10 Commandments were tiny, round stones that Moses could carry both stones in one hand. The two stones would fit in one person's hand. They were referred to not as the 10 Commandments, but in Hebrew, they were called the stones of the testimony. And this is why today when you go to court, you're going to testify.
Yes.
Why do you have a testimonials or stones of the testimony? The very word stones of the testimony comes to the word testes. So in ancient Egyptian, when you went before the courts in ancient Egypt and in ancient Judaism, and you go before the court, when you go into court today in Israel, you go as a man, you're going to testify about something, you must hold your testicles in your hand when you're testifying, because that's where the word testifying comes from, testes.
Testicles.
The idea being, if we catch you lying about your brother in this court, you're holding your testicles. You know why? Because you put your testicles on the line. You lie in this court, and you're never going to have a baby again.
Wow.
And so that's why you are testifying. And that's why when the man gets mad and angry and starts acting like he's bad and angry, women say you're getting testy, meaning you're feeling your testicles. You're feeling like a man. So now you're getting testy. Why? Because you're testifying. You're getting testy. Now, when he comes down from the mountain, he is bringing the 10 Commandments, which the reference works say were two round stones with the 10 Commandments written on both of them. One stone had 10 Commandments written all over it, the one round stone. The second stone had the same identical 10 Commandments written on it. So they were called the two stones of the testimony, which represented your testicle. That's why he could walk down with two round stones in his hand. It says testicles. And they were the two stones of the testimony. Because that was the only way in Egypt they do, you're telling the truth. You better hold your testicles when you're testifying. Because if we find out you're lying, son, guess what? You're going to wish to hell you would never come in here holding your testicles because you're going to walk out here without them.
So maybe that was why it was shameful to be a eunuch.
That's exactly right. And so therefore, when Moses went up into the mountain, we will read in the Old Testament that Moses, who never lived, there was no man named Moses who ever lived. But the story is, when he went up into the mountain, he confronted God in a bush. It was called the burning bush. You ever hear about that?
Yep.
Okay. Moses, we are told, if you go and read the Bible, it said Moses went up into the mountain to talk to God. And when he got up there at the top of the mountain, there was a bush, a big bush, and it was burning. It was a burning bush. That's a very famous story in the
ejaculates, that's the water that cools the fire.
That's exactly right. And so therefore, she's saying, she was the burning bush. And Moses confronted God in the burning bush. Well, that's exactly what happens. Man, for the first time, actually connects himself to Almighty God in sex. Because if man don't get any closer to God than he is making love to a woman.
Wow. And that brings
you don't
forth
get any closer to God than that. You know what? I could sit here for the next 10 hours and tell you all about the Old Testament stories in the Bible and how they all go back to sex and drugs and rock and roll. It's all just a story. The whole thing is a story so that one group of people can hold themselves out as holy and everybody else can go to hell. This is why the Jews will tell you they are God's chosen people. If I were a Jew, I would not have the balls to be able to go out in public and say, I am one of God's chosen people. God chose me. Who in the world would have the courage to go out to other people and say, I am one of God's chosen people?
Isn't that the true start of this racist concept? Think about it. If I'm God's son, then I can't abuse you, Jordan. I can't mistreat you. I can't take your land, put your ass in slavery. Because you're nothing psychologically at that point, even though you truly are. You're a human being, deserving of respect and dignity. But all that goes out the way.
Yeah. Well, just think about this. All three major religions claim Abraham as their father. The Jews will tell you they have come from Abraham, their father. And the Christians will tell you that Christianity came directly from Abraham. And the Islamic people who do not know what is going on the earth, they have no idea in the world because Islamic leaders are not telling the people of Islam nothing. They're not telling them nothing. Keep them ignorant, ill-informed, and ranting and raving, and keep them stupid and ignorant. And don't let them know what's going on. This way we can marry their little 7-year-old daughters and 5-year-old daughters and marry them and keep them for the night and bring them back to the parents the next day. In Islam, that is perfectly legal. If you pay the father to rent his daughter for the night, you can use her as your wife. Even if she's 5 years old, 6 years old, you can rent her. You pay the father. You pay the family. It's called an overnight marriage. So you pay the father and he gives you his daughter and you take her home and she is now your wife. You have privileges with your wife. And so you can enjoy her in bed. She's only 7 years old or 5 years old. You can enjoy her in bed because that's the way Islam thinks. And so the man is the absolute father. He's the father God. He's the father of all living things. He's the male. That means he can rape anything he wants, any damn time he wants. And if you don't like it, he'll knock your teeth out, slap you around, and teach you a lesson. You don't tell the male in Islam anything. Period. He tells you. Where do you get the authority? He got the authority because he's got a heavy fist to beat your face in. That's what his authority. And so once you understand the way religions have developed, the use of sex and the domination of innocent children and innocent people, we see all this stuff going on in Islam, of the marrying little 5-year-olds. Well, what about the priests? They're now raping the 6-year-old boys. And we know it's pedophilia everywhere. Males and adults are raping young girls, young boys. They're there for the raping. This is why you have altar boys in the Catholic Church, because you are putting them on the altar to be sacrificed.
Wow. Now, Jordan, do we find the same system in Hindu or other religions? Like the same basically premise, we're going to dominate your body?
That's basically what it is. It is basically the domination of the human family. All humans, even the men, are being dominated by extraterrestrials. So the men are dominating the women and children and raping them. But somebody's raping the human family, period.
Anyone looking into alternative Earth cosmologies will inevitably run across three main options for the general alleged shape of the Earth. Either Earth is a level plane devoid of any curvature, a convex sphere upon which we live outside, or lastly, a concave sphere upon which we live inside. The majority of my work contains undeniable proof as to what the objective reality of this situation is, and debunks the majority belief that Earth is a convex sphere, and debunk the claim that Earth is concave. In my books and videos, you'll find hundreds upon hundreds of proofs that Earth is devoid of any convex curvature, and the vast majority of these proofs will portray that Earth is also devoid of any concave curvature. For example, the natural physics of large bodies of water is to sink its lowest level, the surface of all standing water remains perfectly flat from end to end of its container. Whether it is a thrifty bottle or bathtub, pond, lake, or ocean, this tangible substance, capable of supporting itself in any shape whatsoever, regardless of what shape the ground beneath. The surface of standing water remains perfectly horizontal. This alone destroys the unscientific, unobservable, and unrepeatable claim that Earth is a concave, convex water. The perfectly flat horizon seems for hundreds upon hundreds of miles, the highest altitude any human should reach, shows me that the shadow of a doubt that Earth is not concave or convex. For Earth to be a ball of dimensions concave means that running current, upwards or downwards, the rate of 8 equals r minus r, 2 over 2r, where h equals height, r equals radius, and s equals arcon, when calculated down to 1,000 times, which is plenty far for any practical observations we can make. This trigonometrical formula can also be simplified to 7.9 inches squared to receive the same results. This means an easily visible and measurable curvature of 6 feet after 3 miles, 24 feet after 6 miles, 54 feet after 9 miles, and so on, would and must exist if we truly lived on a concave or convex Earth 24,900 miles in circumference. Countless experiments using lasers, square levels, theodolites, sextants, telescopes, super zoom cameras, and Navy railguns have all confirmed, however, that no such alleged curvature exists. Again, there are hundreds more such proofs available in